My stepmother demanded I pay rent to live in my own house, while her son stayed for free. She thought I'd cave, but she had no clue the house had been mine since I was 18. You know those moments when your whole world just stops? That happened to me. I'd just pulled into my parents' driveway, completely drained after a grueling 9 hours at work. The Michigan autumn wind was whipping my hair, and all I wanted was my bed. But then I saw it. Our belongings, mine and my 5-year-old daughter June's scattered across the front lawn like trash. Clothes spilling from suitcases, June's coloring books fluttering in the breeze. My heart didn't just drop, it plummeted. Mommy, June whimpered, perched on our biggest suitcase, clutching her stuffed bunny, Mr. Buttons, to her chest. Grandma says we can't live here anymore because Aunt Camille needs our room. That's when I knew this wasn't just a bad day. This was a hostile takeover, and it cut me deeper than any betrayal before. I was out of the car before I remembered turning off the engine. Junebug, what happened? I asked, kneeling before her, my hands automatically checking for injuries, though I knew this wound wasn't physical. Her bottom lip trembled. Grandma says we can't live here anymore because Aunt Camille needs our room. The words hit like ice water. I glanced up at the house, my house, the one my name was on the mortgage for. The curtains in the living room twitched. Someone was watching. Mrs. Abernathy peered through her kitchen window next door, phone probably at the ready. The Wilkinsons across the street stood on their porch, too polite to stare directly but witnessing every moment. Did Grandma say where we're supposed to go? I managed to ask, keeping my voice steady for June. She shook her head, dark curls bouncing. Mr. Buttons is scared. 3 years earlier, I sat at a glass table at Bloomfield Community Bank, signing refinance papers, while my father nodded approvingly. His hand had rested heavy on my shoulder. This house will always be your safe haven, Corey, he'd promised, using my childhood nickname. Your credit score is saving our family home. The loan officer smiled. 732 is excellent, especially for someone your age. The agreement was simple. I'd pay the mortgage $160 monthly, and they'd help with June while I rebuilt my life after David's betrayal. A fair trade. A family supporting each other. What a joke. I stood up, smoothing June's hair. Wait here with Mr. Buttons. Mommy needs to talk to Grandma. The front door wasn't locked. Of course not, they were expecting me. The smell hit me first, cinnamon rolls, Camille's favorite. Mom never made those for me. I found them in the living room. Mom folded baby clothes on the sofa, a pastel mountain of preparation. Camille lounged in Dad's recliner, spoon digging into a bowl of rocky road, her pregnant belly straining against a shirt I recognized as mine. Dad fiddled with the thermostat, his back to me. What the hell is this? My voice came out, steadier than I felt. Mom didn't look up from a tiny onesie. Language, Corinne. My daughter is sitting outside crying. Our belongings are on the lawn, and you're worried about my language. Camille smirked around her spoon. Drama queen. Dad turned, finally meeting my eyes for a flickering second before looking away. Now, Corey, don't call me that. The childhood nickname. Burned now. Mom sighed, setting down a folded sleeper. Camille needs peace and quiet in her condition. You're an adult, Corinne. You'll figure it out. My hand shook. I pay the mortgage. My name is on the loan. Dad cleared his throat. But not the title, dear. That's still ours. The room tilted sideways for a moment. All these months of payments. The overtime shifts. The credit score I built back from the ashes of my divorce. And this is how family treats family. Camille rubbed her belly, that smug smile still playing on her lips. I wondered if she suggested this, or if my parents came up with it themselves. It didn't matter. You had days to tell me. You could have given us time to find a place. My voice dropped to a whisper. Instead, you threw a 5-year-old's belongings on the lawn like trash. Don't be so sensitive, Mom says. We packed most things properly. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I curled them into fists, nails digging half-moons into my palms. June. Starts kindergarten on Monday. The school district in Pontiac isn't that bad, Dad says, as if he's offering a solution instead of another problem. Pontiac. 40 minutes away. A new school. No. Childcare. All decided without me. I backed toward the door, suddenly understanding something. Fundamental had shifted. These people, my parents, weren't my safe haven. They never were. Outside, June sat exactly where I left her, one small hand patting Mr. Buttons reassuringly. My heart broke and reformed in that instant, stronger around the cracks. I scooped her up, suitcase and all. We'll be okay, Junebug. We always are. She wrapped her arms around my neck, trusting. Completely. I walked away from the house, head high despite the neighbors' stares and the chaos. Behind us. Some things, once broken, can't be repaired. Some betrayals cut too deep. And sometimes, losing what you thought you needed is the first step toward finding what you deserve. Later that night, Sarah's guest bedroom ceiling had a water stain shaped like Florida. I'd been staring at it for hours, listening to June's soft breathing from the twin bed across the room. My daughter finally cried herself to sleep, clutching Mr. Buttons so tightly I worried she might squeeze his stuffing out. The digital clock on the nightstand glared 2:17 a.m. at me. My eyes burned. But sleep refused to come. I needed June's inhaler. Her asthma hadn't flared up in months, but Michigan autumn meant ragweed, and ragweed meant trouble. The inhaler sat in the bathroom medicine cabinet, one of countless things we left behind in our rushed exit. My phone screen illuminated the darkness. 3 missed calls from Dad. A text from Mom. We packed most things properly. Stop being dramatic. I swung my legs over the bed edge, careful not to wake June. Sarah's hardwood floors creaked as I tiptoed to the kitchen. Her house smelled of cinnamon and clove, the seasonal potpourri she puts out every September since high school. Can't sleep. Sarah appeared in the doorway, hair twisted in pink foam rollers. In 20 years of friendship, I'd never seen her without them at night. June's inhaler. I need to go back for it. I pulled my jacket from the back of a kitchen chair. And her school records. And my birth certificate. Anne. Breathe, Corinne. She pressed a mug of chamomile tea into my hands. Wait till morning. I'll go with you. But morning revealed new betrayals. The locks had been changed. My key slid in but wouldn't turn, a metallic reminder that what was mine never truly was. I pounded on the door, professional composure abandoned. No answer. They knew we'd come back, I whispered, peering through the front window. They knew, and they locked us out. Anyway, Sarah touched my arm. Let's try the back door. We circled around, past the empty lawn, where our belongings had been scattered. Through the kitchen window, I spotted Mom opening my mail, bank statements, insurance documents, credit card offers, spreading them across the counter like playing cards. Something cold and hard formed in my stomach. They were going through my personal mail. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. That's a federal offense. Sarah's phone appeared in her hand. I'm calling Thomas. He'll know what to do. Thomas Reynolds. The boy who took me to senior prom when David was down with mono. Now a respected attorney with an office downtown. I hadn't spoken to him in years. As Sarah made the call, I pressed closer to the window, watching Mom sort through my private correspondence with practiced efficiency. From somewhere inside, I heard Camille's voice, louder than necessary. It was so easy to get rid of her. Dad barely hesitated when I suggested it. My knees nearly buckled. This wasn't a spontaneous decision. This was calculated. Planned. The Michigan autumn wind whipped around us, colder now than yesterday. The next day, Thomas's office smelled of leather and lemon polish. His desk gleamed under recessed lighting, free of clutter except for our file, already an inch thick with documents. Credit. Applications. He slid several papers toward me. Opened in your name over the past year. Department. Stores, online retailers, even a car loan application from last month. I stared at signatures that mimicked mine with unsettling accuracy. I didn't apply for any of these. I know. Thomas removed his glasses, rubbing the bridge of his nose. Your parents have been using your credit for years, Corinne. The mortgage was just the beginning. My chest tightened. How bad? Nearly $40,000 in debt you didn't create. And with your name on the mortgage but not the title, he shook his head. They set you up perfectly. The room tilted slightly. I gripped the armrests of my chair, steadying myself. But here's something they didn't count on. Thomas slid another document forward. You've been living there, paying the mortgage. Under Michigan law, that establishes tenant rights, even without a formal lease. What does that mean? It means they conducted an illegal eviction. They can't just throw you out without proper notice. His eyes narrowed slightly. And if you want to fight this, we have grounds. My phone buzzes. A text from Camille. The better daughter finally gets what she deserves. Hope you and your brat enjoy the gutter. I show Thomas the message. His expression hardens. Save everything. Every text, email, voicemail, document, everything. He taps a legal pad. This just strengthens our case. Our case. I'm taking this pro bono. He gave me a half smile. Consider it payback for helping me pass trigonometry. When I leave Thomas's office, something has shifted inside me. The shock and pain haven't disappeared, but alongside them grows something new, determination, sharp and clear as winter ice. Sarah waits in the parking lot, June, buckled into her back seat with a juice box and cheese crackers. They won't get away with this, I tell her, sliding into the passenger seat. Sarah squeezes my hand. Damn straight they won't. In the rearview mirror, June catches my eye. She gives me a small, brave smile around her juice box. Straw. My chest aches with love for her, this resilient little girl who trusts me to make things right. I will not let her down. We drove away from Thomas's office, towards Sarah's house, our temporary sanctuary. The trees along Main Street have begun their autumn transformation green, giving way to gold and crimson. Change happens whether we're ready or not. And sometimes change is exactly what we need. The call comes at 10:17 on Tuesday morning, right after I finish explaining a complex policy renewal to Mrs. Bernstein. My desk phone lights up with the main reception line. Corinne Wilson? There's someone here to see you. Before I can ask who, Janet Wilson marches past the receptionists. Protests, her pearl necklace bouncing against her cardigan. My stomach drops as she approaches my desk, eyes scanning my workspace with naked contempt. We need to talk about your behavior, she announces, loud enough for everyone to hear. I rise, keeping my voice level. Let's step outside. The October air bites through my thin blazer as we stand in the parking lot. Janet's face contorts with practiced anguish. How could you abandon your family responsibilities? Camille is distraught. Your father barely slept last night. A delivery truck rumbles past. 3 weeks ago, these words would have crushed me. Now they bounce off a growing shell of resolve. My responsibility is to June. You made that clear when you threw our belongings on the lawn. That was unfortunate timing. If I just what? Continue paying your mortgage while living in my car? Except that Camille deserves my bedroom and my credit score. Her mouth opens, closes. The script isn't working. I'm not apologizing or begging to come home. Your sister needs that house. She's having a baby. So did I. 3 years ago. The words come out steady, surprising me. When David left, you told me to toughen up. Now I have. Janet's face hardens. We'll see how tough you are when that mortgage payment comes due. It won't. I straighten my shoulders. I've informed the bank of the situation. You might want to prepare for their call. The color drains from her face. For the first time in my life, I see genuine fear in my mother's eyes. You wouldn't dare. I already did. When I return to my desk, Denise from accounting leans over the partition. Everything okay? Your mother. Seemed intense. Former mother, I correct, surprised by my own words. And yes, everything's fine. That night, I tucked June into her new bed, a twin mattress with princess sheets, in our small, two-bedroom apartment. The place isn't much, but at $950 a month, it's what we can afford in a neighborhood with decent schools. June has taped paper stars to the ceiling, creating her own constellations. Do you think Grandma and Grandpa are mad at us? June asks, clutching Mr. Buttons. The question pierces me. I sit on the edge of her bed, choosing my words carefully. Honey, sometimes people who should love us don't know how. Like Daddy. My throat tightens. Something like that. Are they going to be mad forever? I stroke her hair, darker than mine, but with a same wave. That's not something you need to worry about. Your job is to be June. My job is to keep us safe. But what if they need us? Like when Grandma was sick and we brought soup. The memory stabs. Janet's flu last winter, June and I making chicken noodle soup from scratch. Janet accepted it with a distracted thanks before asking when Camille would visit. We can care about people from a distance, Junebug. She considers this, her 5-year-old mind working through adult complexities. Like how I care about the kids in Africa at school, but I don't live with them. A smile tugs at my lips. Exactly like that. After June falls asleep, I spread papers across our second-hand kitchen table. Thomas has outlined my legal options in neat bullet points. The tenant rights violations alone could force my parents to pay substantial damages. My phone buzzes with Sarah's text. Meeting with the daycare director. Tomorrow at 3, she'll hold a spot for June. Another message follows. Denise dropped this off, said. You might need it. Attached is a photo of an advance check from McAllister Insurance, a 2-week salary that Mr. McAllister approved without me asking. A handwritten note reads, family isn't always blood. Take care of your girl. The tears come then, hot and fast. Not from sadness, but from the shock of genuine support after years of its absence. My phone rings. Camille's number. I silence it, watching as she leaves a voicemail. The notification appears seconds later. I play it on speaker. Someone from the bank called Dad today. What the hell did you do? You're going to ruin everything. This is just like you, always making things about yourself when I'm the one having a baby. Mom says you're trying to get them evicted. Is that what you want? For your pregnant sister to be homeless. The old Corinne would have called back immediately, apologizing, fixing, managing Camille's feelings as I've done since childhood. Instead, I open a fresh document on my laptop. At the top I type, communication log, Camille Wilson. Then I transcribe her message word for word, noting date and time. In another folder labeled legal, I save the voicemail file Thomas advised me to keep. The mortgage company's confirmation email arrives as I work. Payment suspension. Acknowledged. Property status updated to pre-foreclosure. My hands tremble slightly as I file this. 2. 1 month of missed payments won't trigger foreclosure, but it starts the clock. By my calculations, they have about 80 days before real trouble begins. I look around our small apartment. The water stain on the kitchen ceiling, the bathroom door that sticks, the living room barely big enough for our second-hand couch. Nothing like the 4-bedroom colonial with the maple tree out front, the house I've paid for but never owned. My phone buzzes again. Janet, your father had to take a nitroglycerin pill tonight. I hope you're satisfied. Another entry for the communication log. Another manipulation tactic documented. A text from an unknown number follows. This is Brad, Camille's husband. Can we talk? Things don't add up. That's new. I forwarded it to Thomas before responding. I'll have my attorney contact you tomorrow. The weight in my chest shifts slightly. No longer crushing, just heavy. Manageable. From June's room comes a whimper. The nightmares again. I find her tangled in sheets, Mr. Buttons squeezed against her chest. We have to go, she mumbles. Half asleep. They said we have to go now. We're home, Junebug, I whisper, stroking her hair. This is our place. No one can make us leave. Her breathing steadies. She believes me because children trust their mother's promises. I've never felt more determined to keep one. Back at the kitchen table, I open the sealed envelope Thomas gave me earlier. Inside is a formal legal notice, already drafted, requiring only my signature to proceed. Notice of intent to file civil suit for wrongful eviction and financial exploitation. The words blur through unexpected tears. Not sad tears. Not angry tears. The terrified tears of someone standing at the edge of a high dive, knowing they must jump. My pen hovers over the signature line. I think of June's paper stars carefully, placed to create her own sky when the real one was taken away. I sign my name. 3 days later, the certified letter felt substantial in my hand as I dropped it into the mailbox. 2 more identical envelopes waited their turn, one for the mortgage company, one for Thomas to file with the court. Each contained 37 pages of meticulous documentation spanning 3 years of financial exploitation. My fingertips lingered on the edge of the mailbox. Is that it, Mommy? June stood beside me, clutching Mr. Buttons under one arm while licking a rainbow popsicle with her free hand. That's it, Junebug. I closed the metal flap with a satisfying clink. Now we wait. We don't wait long. The first voicemail arrives before we make it back to our apartment. Janet's voice wavered between righteous indignation and theatrical tears. Corinne, what is this nonsense? Legal papers? After everything we've done for you and June. I deleted it mid-sentence and blocked the number. An hour later, Sarah handed me a mug of coffee when we walked through her door. Round 1. Complete. I sank into her kitchen chair. Thomas says the mortgage company will send the first default notice tomorrow. June scampers off to play with Sarah's cat, leaving sticky fingerprints on the door frame. I should wipe them clean, but exhaustion pins me to the chair. You look terrible. Sarah tops off my mug. When did you last sleep? August, maybe? I laugh, but the sound emerges. Hollow. My phone buzzes. An unknown number, but the area code matches my parents' neighborhood. I silenced it without answering. 3 days later, Ron appeared on our doorstep unannounced. The door chain catches when he tries to push his way in. Corinne Elizabeth Wilson, you open this door right now. His voice carried down the hallway. Mrs. Patel from 3B peered out her door, witnessing everything. You need to leave. Dad. My voice remained steady despite the hurricane in my chest. Any communication needs to go through Thomas Reynolds. That 2-bit lawyer? We changed your diapers for God's sake. We don't need a lawyer between family. Mrs. Patel's door opens wider. Her phone appears in her hand. Everything okay, Corinne? Should I call someone? Her gentle Indian accent carries concern and determination in equal measure. Ron's face flushed crimson. This is a private matter. Not when you're shouting in a hallway, I say. And not when you threw my daughter onto the front lawn like yesterday's trash. He flinches as if slapped. Good. The bank called. His voice drops to a harsh whisper. They're talking about foreclosure. You need to fix this. No, Dad. You need to fix this. You had 3 years of me paying your mortgage. Now you can figure it out. I close the door in his face. June stands in the hallway behind me, eyes wide. Was that Grandpa? I kneel before her. Yes, sweetie, but remember what we talked about? Some people need to learn to be kind before they can be in our lives. Her small fingers touch my cheek. Like a timeout? Exactly like a timeout. I pull her close, breathing in the scent of watermelon shampoo and childhood. Thomas calls the next morning. They've received the default notice. Ron tried to make a payment, but his credit score is garbage. They're requiring the full back payment. How much? 3 months. Almost $3,500. I close my eyes, remembering the Christmas bonus I spent on June's winter clothes and our security deposit. Money well spent. What happens now? Formal foreclosure. Proceedings start after 90 days. I've also filed the wrongful eviction case. Judge Matthews is reviewing it. She hates family exploitation cases. 2 days later, the office proves no sanctuary. Janet arrives during my lunch break, corners me near the coffee machine. You ungrateful little. She stops when Angela from accounting appears beside us. This isn't over, Corinne. Actually, it is. I stir creamer into my coffee, the metal spoon clinking against ceramic with deliberate precision. Every call, every visit, every text, it all goes in the file now. That evening, Camille's tearful face appears on my Facebook feed. A carefully composed selfie showing mascara-stained cheeks and her pregnant belly. The caption reads, "When family betrays you during your most vulnerable time." Comments flood in from distant relatives and high school acquaintances who haven't spoken to me in years. So sorry, Camille. Family should always come first. Prayers for you and the baby. Some people are so selfish. My finger hovers over the delete button, but instead, I screenshot it for Thomas. Evidence. My phone pings with a message from Stacy, my old volleyball teammate from high school. Heard Camille's version. What's really happening? I type the truth. Simple, unembellished facts. 5 minutes later, she responds, "Holy shit. Want me to set the record straight?" No, I text back. Let them believe what they want. 2 weeks later, the credit card investigation moved faster than expected. After my report, the fraud department calls. They've found 6 accounts opened in my name without authorization, all linked to my parents' address. All maxed out. Would you like to press charges, Ms. Wilson? June sleeps in the next room, her nightlight casting star patterns across the ceiling. Outside our apartment, autumn leaves skitter across the parking lot. Somewhere across town, my mother probably sits in her kitchen, planning her next manipulation. Yes, I say I would. The banker pauses, even though they're family? Especially because they're family. That night, I slept without dreaming for the first time in months. The doorbell rings at precisely 7 o'clock on Sunday evening. I've been expecting them. The cavalry right on schedule. Through the peephole, I count 7 people crowded on the landing of my modest apartment building. Mom and Dad front and center. Aunt Lillian from Grand Rapids, Uncle Pete with his perpetual frown, 2 cousins I barely recognize anymore, and Camille, 8 months pregnant. Now, one hand resting on her enormous belly like it's a crystal ball that predicts her inevitable victory. June looks up from her coloring book on our second-hand coffee table. Who is it, Mommy? The past, I say, and unlock the door. They pour in like floodwater, filling our small living room with expensive perfume and nervous energy. Dad carries a casserole dish. Mom clutches her purse like it contains emergency supplies. Camille takes the only comfortable chair without asking. Corinne. Mom starts, her voice dripping with the honey-sweet tone she reserves for church functions and people she's about to disappoint. We need to talk as a family. Family. The word tastes different. Now, like something once familiar that's spoiled in storage. Is that what we're calling this? Uncle Pete clears his throat. Your parents are in serious trouble, Corinne. The foreclosure is exactly what happens when you stop paying a mortgage. I finish for him. Basic financial literacy. Dad sets the casserole on the kitchen counter and steps forward. His shoulders slump under his golf shirt. The same man who once seemed 10 feet tall now diminished by consequences. Sweetheart, I know. You're upset. June, I interrupt, turning to my daughter. Why don't you go play in your room for a bit? The grown-ups need to talk. She gathers her crayons carefully, eyes darting between all these relatives who once promised to love her. Can I take Mr. Buttons? Of course. After she disappears down the hallway, I face my assembled relatives. No one sits. No one speaks. There, waiting for me to crumble, to offer forgiveness without requiring apology. Aunt Lillian breaks. First, think about family duty, Corinne. Family always comes first. Where was family duty when they threw my 5-year-old onto the lawn? My voice remains calm, a river frozen over, hiding its current. Camille sniffles dramatically. The baby needs its home. The stress is affecting my pregnancy. Mom nods vigorously. Dr. Winters says her blood pressure. Let me guess what happens. Next, I interrupt, moving to the dining table where a manila folder waits. You'll mention Dad's heart palpitations. You'll suggest I'm damaging June by cutting her off from her grandparents. Someone, probably Uncle Pete, will mention elder abuse laws. And finally, you'll threaten to report me for abandoning the mortgage. Their stunned silence confirms my script. 20 years of family. Holiday dinners has made their tactics predictable. Did I miss anything? Dad's face reddens. You have no right. Actually, I have every right. I open the folder and remove a stack of papers. Thomas, you remember my attorney friend from high school? Suggested I prepare this timeline of events. I lay out documents in a neat row across the table. Bank statements showing withdrawals from my account that match deposits to yours. Credit card applications with forged signatures. The mortgage agreement with my name prominently featured. And these, I placed June's drawings on top. Stick figures standing in rain while bigger stick figures look from windows are how my daughter process being evicted without warning. Aunt Lillian steps forward, squinting at the papers. Her hand flies to her mouth. You told us she refused to help with the mortgage, she whispers to my mother. She's twisting things, Mom says, but her voice wavers. I remove my phone from my pocket and press play on a saved recording. Getting rid of Corinne was easier than I thought. Camille's voice fills the room. Mom already had the locks changed before they even left. Dad says we'll let the bank take the house before we let her back in. Camille's face drains of color. You recorded me? That's illegal. Michigan is a one-party consent state, I reply. Another fact Thomas shared. Uncle Pete studies the bank statements, his accountant's eyes catching what others might miss. Ron, what is this? These transactions. It was temporary, Dad mutters. We were going to pay it back. I place the foreclosure notice on top of everything else. The auction is Tuesday. According to the sheriff's office, similar homes in the neighborhood are selling well below market value. You'll lose everything and still owe the difference. The room falls silent except for Camille's ragged breathing. Even she seems to understand the magnitude of what's happening. What do you want? Dad finally asks, defeat crumpling his face. Nothing, I answered honestly. Not anymore. Mom steps toward me, hands outstretched. Corinne, please, we're family. No, I say, quietly. We're relatives. There's a difference. The phone rings, startling everyone. I check the display. It's Ryan, Camille's husband. Perfect timing. You should probably take this, I tell Camille, holding out the phone. He's been asking a lot of questions about the family finances since the fraud investigation opened. She stares at the phone like it might bite her, then grabs it and hurries to the bathroom. One by one, my relatives examine the evidence spread across the table. The curtain pulled back, the manipulation exposed in black and white. The looks they give my parents shift from confusion to disappointment to something harder. Uncle Pete gathers his coat. We should go. Aunt Lillian squeezes my hand before following him. The cousins mumble awkward goodbyes. Mom stands frozen by the table, tears streaking her makeup. Janet, Dad says sharply, let's go. At the door, he turns back. This isn't over, Corinne. It was over the moment you chose Camille over your granddaughter, I reply. Again. After they leave, June emerges from her room, Mr. Buttons clutched to her chest. Are they gone forever? She asks. Before I can answer, the phone rings. Again. Camille's name flashes on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. Some questions don't have simple answers, especially when you're 5. Some broken things stay broken. We'll see, I tell her and close the folder on our past. In 3 years, we are going to protect our peace even better. The morning sun streams through curtains June picked out herself, bold yellow with tiny butterflies that cast dancing shadows across our kitchen table. 3 years ago, this same table held our tears. and half-eaten microwave dinners in Sarah's cramped guest room. Today, it showcases June's science. Project a bean plant stretching toward the light, roots visible through clear plastic. Mom, it grew. Another inch. June bounces on her toes, ruler in hand, her curls wild from sleep. At 8, she's all elbows and opinions and infectious joy. I set down 2 bowls of oatmeal topped with fresh berries. Recorded in your growth journal before school. While June scribbles measurements, I sip coffee and scan the wall calendar, color-coded, naturally. Blue for work meetings, green for June's activities, purple for my online accounting classes, and yellow for social events. So much yellow. These days. My phone pings with a text from Thomas. Credit score update, 798, highest I've seen in my practice. Celebration dinner Friday. I smile. 3 years of meticulously rebuilding what my family destroyed. 3 years of saying no to impulse purchases and yes to overtime. 3 years of choosing June's future over my present comfort. Miss Peterson says I'm the best reader in class. Now. June looks up, berry juice staining her lips purple. Can we go to the bookstore Saturday? Already on the calendar, I tap the yellow square marked June's book adventure. The wall behind. June displays her family art project from school, just the 2 of us, holding hands beside a house. With a garden. No grandparents, no Aunt Camille, just us standing tall. My accounting certificate hangs beside it, framed in simple black. The promotion that followed added $20,000 to my salary. The apartment we moved into last year has a small yard where June planted sunflowers that now tower above the fence. The phone rings, breaking our morning rhythm. Janet's number. 3 years of these calls. 3 years of escalating desperation as their lives unraveled without my credit score to exploit. 3 years of Camille's failed relationships and my parents' financial struggles. I let it go to voicemail. Was that Grandma again? June asks, rinsing her bowl at the sink, a chore she insists on doing herself. Yes. Are you going to call her back? I brush a curl from her forehead. Not today, Junebug. She nods, understanding beyond her years. Good. We have dance class tonight. Anyway, the voicemail notification appears. I'll listen later, recorded in my documentation system, and file it away with the others. But I won't return the call. The homeownership program application sits on my desk, half completed. June's college fund statement shows $4,872, modest, but growing monthly. The business plan for my accounting services side hustle needs revising this weekend. None of it would exist if they hadn't thrown us out. I help June into her backpack, lock our door, and walk her to the bus stop where 3 other mothers greet me with genuine smiles. We belong here. Love you, Mom, June calls before boarding. Love you more, I answered, watching her climb the steps without looking back. Losing that house was never a tragedy. Trusting the wrong people was. Getting kicked out gave me the push to build a life that no one can take from me.